President of the General Assembly, distinguished speakers, excellencies, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I have been fortunate enough to attend 10 Olympic Games, participating in 4 Summer Olympiads as an athlete, and attending 6 as a broadcaster of 4 Summer Olympics and 2 Winter Games. I've seen sports at the very highest level as athletes compete for glory and set unbelievable records. But I've also seen sports' effect on the world. My previous role as sports ambassador for my home country of Trinidad and Tobago and for my sport of athletics has shown me firsthand what a force sport can be for good. That role has allowed me to visit many countries all over the globe and see in the first person what sport can mean to millions. I have seen in my own home country how simply installing lights so that young people have a place to play sports at night instead of getting into trouble can transform entire communities. I've witnessed Aboriginal athletes like Taliqua Clancy become Australia's very first Aboriginal Olympic beach volleyball player because of the example of 2000 Olympic champion Kathy Freeman. Asked about the start of her journey, Clancy said, "It's so important to have Indigenous kids, for Indigenous kids to have role models like Kathy. It's so important to say, see, look, we can do this. You can do this." I've seen the effects that sports can have on a country's crime rate when, during the Jamaican sprint dominance at the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games, the then Deputy Police Commissioner remarked, "It has a positive effect on bringing the crime rate down. This is a great opportunity to sell Jamaica in the positive light it deserves." As the war between Ukraine and Russia continues, Ukraine's top athletes paid defiant tributes last year to a Ukrainian prisoner of war shown online being killed by Russian troops in a video that shocked the nation. That video from Ukrainian athletes from multiple sports became a battle cry for the Ukrainian army. In 2019, Category 5 Hurricane Dorian hit the Bahamas hard, displacing many permanently from the northwest islands of Abaco and Grand Bahama. The exploits of Olympic 400-meter champion Stephen Gardner in Tokyo lifted that entire nation out of what could have easily become a national depression and set the Bahamas on the full road to recovery. Over 55 years ago, diplomats and emissaries tried in vain for 2 years to stop the fighting in what was then Africa's bloodiest civil war, the Nigerian Civil War. The February 1969 arrival in Nigeria of Brazilian soccer legend Pelé brought a 3-day ceasefire to the war. Pelé would eventually call it one of his greatest prides. Way back in 1919, a war like none other before it had ravaged Europe, killing untold millions and leaving the continent devastated. The Spanish flu pandemic was waning, but was still wreaking its horrors, with some 50 million people dead worldwide. But hundreds of thousands of troops from various countries were still in Europe. The war was over, but they were bored, with little to do until the time came to be shipped home. And so was born an international competition like no other. The Inter-Allied Games took place in front of massive crowds, and those games would bring together nations weary from war and begin to soothe the wounds of conflict for many. Research consistently highlights the various benefits of sports for girls, including improved self-esteem, resilience, leadership skills, and better mental health. With that in mind, let us look forward a little to the upcoming Paris Summer Olympics. This summer, 2 countries that have never won Olympic medals have the best chance to do so that they have ever had: St. Lucia and Dominica. Julian Alfred of St. Lucia is the reigning 60-meter indoor world champion. Tia LaFond is the indoor world champion in the triple jump event. Their home countries will hold their collective breath as they compete for gold in Paris this summer. But it will be so much more than chasing medals. For a generation of young boys, and especially girls, they will, for the first time, be able to watch someone from their nation challenge for the biggest prize in all of sport. The value to those young hearts and minds will be, simply put, immeasurable. That is sport at its functioning best, and it reminds us that while the fields of play are relatively small, the field of dreams for many young people is immense. The alternative to the positive avenues that sports can reveal, trying to catch more criminals, building more jails, and imprisoning more humans, as my former Senate colleague from Tobago so often said, is the equivalent of trying to mop up the ocean. Folks, we live in an increasingly more cynical world. Sports and diplomacy may be all we have left. Let's just be sure, particularly at the grassroots level, that we are giving not just money, but the very best of our time, energy, and full attention to the things that sport, and nothing else but sport, can help us achieve as a planet.